This video is all about higher consciousness. Specifically, I'm going to share with you 4 secret teachings that have been around for thousands of years that can make you a lot more successful and make your life easier. My name is Brent Phillips. I am the founder and creator of the Awakening Dynamic System of Energy Healing and Higher Consciousness. And this video is number 2 of 10 in our series called Prerequisites to Higher Consciousness. Basically, I want to lay out for you all the things you need to know and all the things you need to be able to do to be ready for a huge shift in your life. That's what we call prerequisites to higher consciousness. And they are all based on the unpublished writings of my late teacher and mentor, Carl Wolf. So let's get into it. What are these 4 teachings? Number 1, show up on time. So simple, right? I can pretty much promise you, if you can simply show up on time, you will be ahead of 80% of the world. And it's kind of crazy. I paid Carl $15,000 for his intensive life training program. And probably the single most valuable thing I got out of it was the importance of showing up on time. And they're both important because obviously if you don't show up in your life, you're not going anywhere, right? If you don't show up and ask the girl out or, have the date or start the company or get the job, you're not going anywhere. Most people fail because they don't try. One of the differences between highly successful people and everyone else is their willingness to get out there, to get in the game of life, to show up and participate. The showing up on time is a refinement. And I remember my first Wednesday night group with Carl. He used to do a group every Wednesday night called Wednesday Night Live. It started at 6 o'clock. And I showed up at 6:02 when the door was locked. And I was like checking the address. I'm like, I think I got the day, I got the time. I looked in the window. There's Carl and a bunch of people inside. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So I knocked on the door. Carl opened the door looking rather annoyed, kind of looked down his nose at me and he said, Brent, I know this is your first time, so we're going to let you slide. But next time, be here on time. We lock the door at 6:01. And if you're not here on time, just go home. So that was a harsh lesson. It got even harsher during the intensive life training. $15,000. And if you were 1 minute late to one session, you were done. Out. No refund, no transfer, just done. So that really drilled it into me. And when I asked him about it, I said, hey, Carl, it seems there's lots of important people that show up late and all that, right? Why is this such a big deal? This is what he said. He said, Brent, if you can't do something as simple as showing up on time for an appointment, how in the world do you expect to be able to manage a fast-growing company or a big career or manage millions of dollars or an active social life? And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. So this is one of our prerequisites. If you are ready for a big shift, you have to show the universe you're ready, willing, and able. Show up on time, and you'll be ahead of 80% of the world. Cool stuff, huh? Now, on to number 2. Our second secret, something discovered by native peoples all over the world, over and over through history, is this. Pay attention and fully participate. Really easy. Very simple. But what does it mean? Well, what it means is most of us are not present in our bodies or in the living space we occupy. We're always in our head, thinking about things that happened in the past, worrying about the future. I mean, geez, if I had $1 for every imaginary conversation I ran in my head, I'd have millions of dollars. So we're running a story in the mind that takes us out of the present moment. But you can only do things in the present. All of our power is in the present. There's no power in the past. There's none in the future. But most of us have learned to live in a way we're constantly distracted, not present. If you like Star Wars, I love Star Wars. Yoda was the spiritual teacher in Star Wars. And when he was teaching Luke how to be a Jedi, he would say things like, never your mind on where you are, what you are doing. That's what we're saying. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, be there. If you're standing in line at the grocery store, stand in line at the grocery store. Be in your body, connected to the space around you. I see this in my classes and seminars, that the people that get the most out of it are not the ones sitting in the back row, kind of lurking, just trying to pull the information and giving nothing to the group. Those people never go far. The ones that do well are the ones sitting up front that are interactive, engaged, being part of the process. And so what Carl would say is that if you can simply show up on time and fully participate, be present, you will be ahead of 95% of the world right out of the gate. And I found this to be true. But it requires a willingness to let go of the escapism of going to the mind. It can be painful and difficult to be present sometimes. That's why we don't do it, right? But don't worry, later in the series, I got lots more to help you there. So, quick summary. Teaching number 1, show up on time. Teaching number 2, be present, fully participate. Even if those are the only 2 things you pull out of this video, you're going to see a shift in your life. But we got 2 more. So, you're ready for secret teaching number 3? Here it is. Tell the truth without blame or judgment. So simple, but so powerful. I'll say it again. Tell the truth without blame or judgment. So I want to help dissect this for you, walk you through it step by step. The first part we'll look at is telling the truth. Most of us are lying most of the time. There are some very honest people out there, but they're hard to find. Mostly you are lying to yourself about your life and how things really work. I'm not blaming you, it's just part of the human condition. One of the reasons we do this is almost all of us have a huge core fear. We are terrified of doing it wrong, of looking stupid, of making a mistake, especially on a public stage. We're terrified by it. And so as a result, most of us learn to do what I call talk like a politician. In other words, you're not telling the truth, you're wrapping up the truth in some abstraction or story to obscure it. So let me give you an example. What do I mean by talking like a politician? Let's say that you go to watch a politician give a speech, and they may say, hey, I'm going to be tough on crime. Elect me and crime will go down. And everyone goes, rah, rah, yeah, be tough on crime, right? And they all vote for you. Well, why do politicians say that? What a politician would not say, at least it's really unlikely, is I have this very specific plan that'll cost this much and require these resources. And my projection is if we implement this plan, if you elect me, violent crime will be reduced by at least 10% over the next 2 years. That's too much telling the truth. A politician would be unlikely to say that. Why? They could be wrong. If you give details like that and you get elected and you implement your plan and violent crime doesn't go down, you're going to get booted out. You're going to be seen as a failure. But if you keep it abstract and meaningless, if you're all, hey, I'm going to be tough on crime, then no matter what happens, you can look back and go, look, I was tough on crime. Does that make sense? So we've learned to lie to ourselves and everyone around us to protect us from the possibility of being wrong, of looking stupid. But that's exactly where we have to go if we want to be really successful. We have to be willing to report the objective details to tell the truth without blame or judgment, without going into a story. I'll give you a great example of this, of how to tell the truth without the story. This happened when I was in Carl's intensive life training. And my dating coaches and friends of mine, their names were Brian and Robbie, were in the program with me. And there was a time I was hanging out with them. I think it was a Sunday afternoon. We were going to watch a movie or something. And Robbie had just adopted this big, rambunctious young dog named Wiley. And Wiley was like 3 months old, and he was already 60 pounds, right? Huge dog. And Wiley was tearing ass running around the living room. And we're hanging out watching a movie. And they had left the screen door to their balcony half open. And Wiley ran smack right into that screen door. And he was so big and moving so fast, he bent the frame and it fell off the track. And I remember Robbie jumped up and said, oh crap, Wiley ruined our screen door. And I laughed and I said, no man, you're telling a story. The truth is that Wiley ran into the screen door, bent the frame, and it fell off the track. You see the difference there? The story is Wiley ruined the screen door. That didn't actually happen. That was the conclusion. That was the story, the myth that was told by the mind. The truth of the situation was Wiley ran into the screen door, the frame bent, and it fell off the track. That's the difference between telling the truth versus telling a story. And it's interesting that in this case, Robbie was wrong. The owner of the apartment, the landlord, had a guy come out with a special machine in a truck. They hung the screen door up, straightened it out, and put it back. So the screen door was not ruined. That's what I want you to see. Tell the truth means simply reporting the objective details without giving it meaning, without jumping to a conclusion. Now, the second part is without blame or judgment. And this is a tough one because all of us have an ego with an agenda. If you were treated badly at work, you're probably going to exaggerate that to get sympathy from your wife or your friend or something. Makes sense, right? So you got to watch out for that. We're not placing blame. We're not judging people. We're simply reporting the details of life as it shows up. And this is hard. But if you're able to do this, this will qualify you for higher consciousness. You cannot be running around living in a myth in your head and achieve those higher levels. Impossible. That's no more possible than a 2-year-old winning the Indy 500. There's nothing wrong with 2-year-olds. I freaking love toddlers. So much love, so much life, so much joy. But no toddler can drive an Indy car. Nothing wrong with them. It's just how it works. So that's secret number 3. All right, on to secret number 4. This one is probably the most transformative, but perhaps the most challenging. And it's this. Be open to outcome rather than attached to result. This is gigantic. I'm going to give some explanation here, but this alone will change your whole life. So the goal is to be open to outcome rather than attached to result. Okay, Brent, what the heck does that mean, right? Well, first, let me say, if you're interested in learning more, I got a program called 30 Days to Awakening that is designed to help you check all those boxes to be ready for higher consciousness. If you want to check it out, links in the description. I think you'll love it. Back to teaching number 4. What does it mean to be open to outcome rather than attached to result? Well, when we live from the mind and the ego, which is what almost all of us do, it's not your fault. It's just we have no role model for being different. Unless you spent time around really high frequency people, the real genuine masters, all we know is living from ego. What happens is we get an idea in our mind of how life has to be. I must have X, Y, and Z, and I must not have A, B, and C. So it might be I must have a lot of money and a beautiful partner and be healthy all the time, or I'm screwed. That's attachment. It also works on the flip side. You may go, oh my God, I can't have pain. I can't be overweight. I can't be alone. I can't be poor, or I'm screwed. That's attachment. Is going, oh God, life has to give me this and not that, or I'm screwed. That's attachment. Being open to outcome is subtly different. It's saying, for example, let's say you want to get a better job. So you build a resume, you apply for jobs, and you interview, and you hope you get it. The way you want to look at it is, hey, I don't know exactly what jobs will be offered or how it'll work, but I'm open to the divine guiding me to what's best for me, as opposed to it has to be X, Y, or Z. It cannot be A, B, or C. That's attachment. And so there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. That's part of life. The ego always has an opinion. It always has its idea of how things should be. But when we get attached to it, it's basically things have to be the way I want, or wham, I'm going to throw a tantrum, just like a little toddler. Wham, I want another Twinkie, or I'm going to throw a tantrum. That's exactly how we behave. And Brent does it too. We all do it. It's nothing personal. It just doesn't work. It's just drawing you backwards. It's costing you a lot of money. So we want to find a way to release that attachment. And instead of going, oh God, I have to have this and this and this and not that, or I'm screwed. It's simply, this is what I think I want, but I trust the wisdom of the divine to guide me to where I need to be. That's open to outcome. And it is a subtle difference. And the reason it's so important is what Kara would say is that over 90% of your power to create, to bring in money and love, And joy is pissed away resisting the things you don't want in attachment. And so, do you want to be 10 times more powerful? Make 10 times more money? And I'm serious about that. When Carl would meet people for the first time, including me, the first thing he'd ask them is, are you ready to add a 0 to your income? Why? Many people can make 10 times more money just by releasing the power within, just by taking the kink out of the hose. And so if you're able to be open to outcome without a lot of attachment to result, the kink comes out of the hose. The life force flows more freely. You have far more power to create money, success, love, purpose, joy, all those wonderful things. So this is a lot to handle. I know there's a lot of information here, but I want to get this to you and I want to make it clear because the world needs a lot of help. So many of us are struggling and suffering. And I want to do what I can to put this out there, hoping this will connect with the right people and make a huge difference in your life. So this is just video number 2 of 10 in the series. We've got a lot more awesome stuff coming up. So make sure you check it out. If you want to learn more about me, come to one of my live events or learn more about what I do, check the links in the description. And until next time, this is Brent Michael Phillips signing off. So please take care and namaste.